How do you measure learning success? By courses completed or by real improvements to skill, productivity, and revenue? See, learning isn't about passive consumption. Learning is about doing. Docebo makes it easy to create, manage, and deliver learning to every audience across the entire skills journey. Your learners will adapt faster, get more done, and grow their skills, organization, and careers. Docebo. Never stop learning.
Oxygen, 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 oxygen. We need it, we need it, we need it. Oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. It's why we breathe.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I am Dr. LL, your host, Small Business Stories. And as you know the drill by now, you've been dialing in for a while. Every week we bring you a wonderful new guest who talks about a different aspect of your business. And for folks who are growing their business now, this episode's not so much about the initial startups, but what do you start to do differently as you start to scale? And in the house today, I've got Borja Cuan. He's the co-founder of 415 Digital, which is a marketing company wholly focused on helping folks get to that next level. Hi, Borja. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, like I said, it's always fun. I love bringing it in. And not everybody is a startup. We've got a lot of folks in our listener base who have been growing their companies. Some have achieved seven figures in annual sales and whatnot. And they're looking for advice in what they do on how to grow. And so I want to get in that with you. The first thing that we always do with our show is we ask folks, give a visual picture for the people that are dialed in just remotely and not having the visual experience. Talk to us about your background, not your personal background, like literally what is behind you on the screen. You can talk to us, share whatever you want to share about your appearance, the clothes you're wearing, just to give people, oh, this is who Borja is.
Sure. Yeah, my background is 415 Digital branded background. So it says 415 Digital and then results with every initiative. Sometimes I use this backdrop, sometimes I don't. It depends. Sometimes I just have it blurred. I happen to be sitting, taking this podcast from my home, not the office today. I decided to stay at home and work from the home office rather than go into the office. But normally I would be in our office, which is only a few miles from my home, but I enjoy being in the office because I sit with the team, usually have lunch with them, take an afternoon walk and grab a cup of coffee and just get some in-person time. So today, working from home, what I'm wearing is a polo shirt. Nothing special, but it does have a collar, which I appreciate.
Well, there you go. Nothing special. Come on, you're a guest on Small Business Stories. You didn't step it up, Borja? Oh, we're going to be so disappointed now. Oh, my goodness. All
I
right, so
know.
let's give folks the flavor. And what I like to also ask our guests, not what you do in your business. We're not there yet. We understand digital marketing, marketing companies. What are you personally really good at?
I would say my superpower as it relates to life, personal and professional, is my ability to endure pain and suffering.
Ah, that's a very good skill and superpower to have as an entrepreneur, isn't it?
I think as a human being, it's a very valuable skill set to develop because whether you're starting a business or starting a family or acquiring a home or whatever it may be, I think in life we deal with a lot of stress and difficult times. So, sort of developing that sort of ability to sort of endure stress, pain, suffering. What to do when it arrives at the doorstep, how to prepare for it, how to deal with it is a very useful thing to just understand because I think inevitably it's part of life.
What keeps you going through it so that you've got the pain and suffering? Is it what's on the other side? Is it you've built up a high resilience and the tolerance? Like what keeps you going through all of this? Because there's a few bumps right along the way in life and in business.
Yeah, I mean, I think what keeps me going is perspective, but also the understanding that all for me that has come, that has sort of been good has come from challenges, right? I think I've realized the most um, sort of benefits, right, from things that have been difficult to achieve, to accomplish, to overcome. So I think that is what sort of inspires me and motivates me to keep going. But also the perspective, right? I think sort of understanding what is truly important versus unimportant is really an important thing to understand in life, right? What are we dealing with? Relatively speaking, in the big picture, is this really something that is life or death, or is it just something that is short term? And so my perspective has absolutely been paramount in helping me get through things. And I always tell myself with things like this, it will pass, right? Everything will pass, no matter how bad it is. It's not forever, it's temporary. I mean, excluding sickness, disease, things like that. Unfortunately, those are what I would consider to be things that probably warrant someone to be stressed about. But otherwise, if it's not really health related for me, and my family, that is, whether it's losing a big client, losing an employee, getting sued, um, I tend to really make sure that I don't let it overrule things, because if I do, I know that will sidetrack me and distract me from just moving forward.
Oh, and you say that just so glibly, like, well, if I'm getting sued, nah, I lost a client, lost an employee. Talk to us about that mindset, because you're in a position of helping companies grow. So they're
Mhm.
achieving maybe not massive growth in an accelerated or a condensed time frame, but they're at that level where these kinds of things are going to happen and they're going to have these business challenges. You need to manage client and employee turnover. When you've got a big business, you're scaling. This is normal. Talk to us about some of the thought process and how you guide your clients on that, because it's kind of a thing, right? It's very real.
Yeah, I mean, in my office, I have a corny quote. It's a piece of artwork that I acquired. And the quote is mindset is everything. And in fact, a lot of my teammates joke about how corny it is. And it's just corny to them. But I love quotes, and they keep me inspired, and I like having them there as reminders. But they don't deny the fact that what it says is true, which is mindset is everything, right? It's really our ability to decide how we react or respond to what is in front of us. And we have complete control with how we react and how we respond. And I think that's usually the difference between a good and a bad outcome, right? So easier said than done, no question about it. But the quicker we develop a strong mindset, and understand again, uh, how to react and respond to things, it will definitely allow you to make progress faster. And with clients, it's really important to align yourself on sort of what the expectations are. What are the goals and objectives? What are the expectations that we have of one another? Because at the end of the day, the definition of partnership is that two people come together and both have a role and a responsibility to creating the outcomes that we desire, right? It's usually not one person is solely responsible for that. It's usually the coming together of two parties. And so it's really important that we align ourselves and partner with clients, individuals who have a similar mindset. And the reason it's important is because it makes the journey a lot more smooth. What we know, having done this for many years, is that inevitably, when you're working with a client in this business, it will not be a straight line. It will not be a smooth path. It will be a series of ups and downs. And the key to making it through the ups and downs is really having a solid relationship, being an excellent communicator, having a similar mindset around the journey, which is, hey, we understand we have a goal. We understand we're going to do our best to achieve that goal, but it may not happen as fast as we want. It may come at the cost of something. It may have, dips and rises. So I think a lot of that is just around expectation setting It's around being aligned in the way we think about things, right? And understand that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And because it's a marathon and not a sprint, there's a lot of things we have to do before we get the desired outcomes that we want.
How do you tap into where your client is at? It's not like you can say, hey, what's your mindset? I'm trying to figure that out before we move forward, right? So what do you do?
I ask questions, you know. I'm a curious person, and I try to sort of tell my team that, and it's one of the attributes or qualities or characteristics that I look for in individuals is curiosity, the desire to learn, the desire to understand things. So how I learned that is really by two ways. It's questions and observation. So I'll ask people, like, what do you think of this? I won't necessarily give them my opinion, but I'll ask them, right? So there's a lot of things you can learn by asking the right questions and the answers that you get. But it's also listening, being really an active listener and hearing how they think about things, right? Like me presenting a strategy and then hearing how they respond to that strategy. Do they agree with it? If they disagree, how do they disagree, right? Is it reasonable? Is it logical? Is it based on experience in math or opinion and not something of substance? So I think through a lot of asking of the right questions, because I do believe that not every question is a good question, and that may not be a popular thing that people like to hear. But I always tell my team, when you hear that every question is a good question, please don't believe that. I think that's silly. I think people assess and judge you based on the quality of your question, and asking a really bad question could actually work in not your favor. It could work against you. So, I think those are the ways. It's through really active listening and questions that you ask.
Have you ever had pushback from a client that you weren't expecting? And how did you handle it?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like, how could
And
you
that's not
ever have?
a lawsuit. But before you
No,
get to,
no, yeah, no. I mean, and by the way, there has been no lawsuit against us, which is great. We've been very fortunate, but um, yeah, I mean, clients are pushing back always, right? We're in the professional services business, so we have a lot of pressure to deliver performance for our clients. What they ask us to do is help them grow their business. And when they say grow my business, they're not talking about brand awareness. They're talking about driving more sales, more customers, right? B2B or B2C, they want more customers. And so we are in a position where we can be very numerically evaluated, right? We can't hide. There's nowhere to sort of run to. It's all numbers based, and it's as easy as that, right? They look at the output through reporting and analytics and tracking and things like that. So I think when people push back, I mean, there's just a lot of different examples. I don't think there's any one example that comes to mind, but they disagree at times with what we recommend. And so how I deal with that is I listen. You really have to be a good listener when you're working with clients, and you really have to understand why they're pushing back. I don't have a problem with someone having a difference of opinion. So when I have a client who pushes back, I want to understand why the pushback, um, and what exactly they want instead, right? And then it just becomes a conversation, right? Because ultimately we're trying to compromise. So it's like you got to sort of understand their point of view, and sometimes their point of view is valid, and sometimes it's not valid. But at the end of the day, my job is uh, to give them not what they want to hear, but what I believe is truly going to move the needle for their business. So when someone hires my company, I tell my team, they are hiring you because you are the expert. They are not the expert. They are hiring us because we're the experts, and that comes with responsibility. And that means we need to tell them what we think is the best path for their business. And if they disagree, that is okay. But it's our job to make sure that we let them know that we will move forward with what they want, but that we don't agree with that decision. right? Because ultimately they're the customer and they can overrule us, but we still can push back on them and say, hey, we don't agree with this, but we will do this despite that and honor your request. And we'll see how that goes, right? Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. If you're wrong, we can pivot. But yeah, that's how we think about it.
Oh, and I think that's so important. Where I was kind of going with this is that a couple of things are happening, right? It's all about the market drivers, what's changing, what's shifting. And I'm seeing some clients pushing back when it comes to, I'm also in the space of professional services. Well, ChatGPT told me XYZ, and so I should do that. So that's number one. That's their source, and they're saying we need to follow that. Then I think, well, go ahead. If you want to use generative AI fully and be fully dependent on that, then go forward, try it out, because there is tremendous analysis and understanding behind these language models that help direct the advice. And then related to that, a lot of folks now are saying, yeah, I don't need a firm. I've got AI. It can do everything for me. Yet if you look, you see the numbers just even year over year versus last year. A new study came out that companies, small businesses in general, only have 19% faith versus 30% a year ago in marketing as a tool or as a solution. So the dependency and usage of AI is going up, but the effect and the belief and the trust is going down. So I want you to comment on those things and get your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is a tool, not a replacement. So AI doesn't replace an agency, it enhances one. Um, and it's simply the next layer of technology, right? No different than Google Ads, analytics platforms, CRMs. Those things did not make marketers irrelevant, right? So I think from our standpoint as an agency, we don't really compete with AI. We don't consider AI is a displacement to roles that we have. Not today. I can't speak for 10 years from now or 5 years from now, but right now we're on the we're on the side of AI, meaning we are embracing it, we are incorporating it into our processes. It is allowing us to become more efficient, and so it's more additive than subtractive. So we can deliver better speed, insights, and creative capacity than those who don't embrace it. So again, you still need humans, right? Like this is not the type of business where you can just say, "Hey, go do this," and it happens. You still need humans to intervene. Um, you won't, the inputs, as we know, users of ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these tools, it's only as good as the inputs. And if the inputs aren't good, the output won't be good. So it does require a lot of manual intervention to get the best output possible. So I think at the end of the day, you have to remember we're in a business where we're dealing with humans. We have to build relationships with people. AI doesn't do that. But AI is a tool. So it's a tool that we'll use, but it's not going to replace us where someone can come to, go to an AI solution and say, hey, grow my marketing, help me scale, and just press a button. It's not that easy.
It is not, right? There's a lot of things that come back. Even I'll share some comments. I use a lot of AI tools. I beta test a lot of AI tools for other folks because just that's the tech scene and that I'm on. And some are just fantastic. I'm blown away with the capabilities, but I keep seeing gaps in the consistency. And so if you
Mhm.
ask, you're trying to generate something around this and then whatever it is, and then even if you go into a new thread, because in that session it has some level of memory, it'll come back and it'll blur what you did in thread one with thread two. For example, I was creating some images and I had little googly eyed monsters for little kids and did that in one. And then I was, getting serious, right, about what I needed to do. And it kept sticking googly eyes on all of my serious images. And I'm like, what are we doing? That was another thread. That was an hour ago. And so, yeah, there's some issues there. So
Yeah.
Let's talk about growth marketing because it's a term that everybody's throwing out there. Everybody needs it. People understand the dependency or codependency between sales and marketing, right? One feeds the other and they've got to work in tandem pretty seamlessly, or you don't get revenues, you get losses and client turnover. How is growth marketing different for those companies that are scaling and moving towards high revenue versus those companies that are still at a lower tier of revenue generation and maybe be a smaller company? Can you talk to us about the differences in strategies and tactics that people should do in growth marketing, depending where they are in that continuum of growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're just starting out as an early stage company, um, you have limitations, frankly, right? Capital typically is a limitation, right? You have either raised a seed round or have not raised money, or in the process of raising money. So I think as an early stage company, you're presented with constraints, mostly around financial and human capital constraints. Um, so that means you need to be nimble and lean, right? So you need to operate with very little, which means you have to be very clear on who your ICP is, who your ideal customer profile is, because you don't have the benefit of having a lot of advertising dollars or budget to spend to test, right? So if you test, it's very important to be very specific with who we're going after, right? So the first thing is, if you have limited budget, which a lot of startups do that are very early in their sort of growth trajectory, you need to be very clear on who your ideal customer profile is, because at that point then we can figure out where we should target, what platforms we should be investing in that reach those users, right? Also, you need to be really clear on what your messaging is, right? What is sort of the problem you're solving? Positions, right? What makes you different? What pain points are you solving for? So a lot of the messaging is going to be important very early on and really dialing that in, right? Because again, we're going after a very specific audience. We want to make sure that we're creating messaging that resonates with that audience. And then the other piece is, once we get someone to engage with an ad out there on Google or Meta or LinkedIn, and we send them to a page on your website, right? It may not be the home page, it may be a very specific page that you've designed for traffic that you're sending. Like, we got to make sure that that is optimized for conversions, right? So how is that page designed? What is what does the funnel look like? What are we offering the consumer? What is the offer to them, right? Sign up for a free demo, free shipping if you're a big business to consumer business. Is it a white paper? What is it, right? What is the offer that we're presenting to that end user to get them to submit a form or make a purchase? So those are some of the things that you really have to think about. Obviously, having a good website and really explaining what your business is about, what your capabilities are, what are the services you offer, how are you different, what does it cost to do business with you? So having building legitimacy in your website so that when people go there, that they are feel like this is a trusted place where they would do business, right? So those are some of the things that when you're very early on, you have to figure out. And then lastly, I would say it's the metrics. Like, what are the metrics, right? What are the goals you have in terms of customer acquisition? Do you know how much you want to acquire a customer for? Do you have those numbers? Do you have any lifetime value numbers? Like, once you get a customer, how much over the lifetime are they worth? And for a lot of early stage companies, they don't have those metrics because they haven't been around. But it's like, understand that those are metrics you'll want to eventually have a really good grasp on, because that's going to sort of inform us on what are the success metrics we need to achieve in order to continue to invest in some of these digital marketing programs. And then the opposite would be for a more established company that has venture capital, has more employees. At that point, we have more budget to spend. We have a higher risk tolerance. Um, we can, design a lot more creative. We can come up with a lot more offers. We can test different platforms where we otherwise wouldn't have had the luxury of testing because we had a finite budget. So at that point, I think you just become more aggressive and you become more open to testing and you become more open to investing dollars that may not see a return on investment because you have that budget to test. So I think it becomes not easier, but I just think the economics are different because now we have more capital to draw on. For expansion. And the goals usually get bigger, right? Because someone has raised Series A and then they have to go and raise more money. So as part of that process, they need a really good story, right? Well, we've been, invested a lot of our Series A money into marketing, and these are the results we've seen. And we've tested the market, and there's a good response, and we've been able to grow our user base by this much. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in terms of marketing and growth to really help create that story so that when we're going to investors, they're very impressed with what we have to say. And so, yeah, I think it's just the environment gets harder, I think, no matter what, because the bigger you get, the goals change, goalposts change, and the expectations are only greater as more growth is sort of demanded from the top down.
Well, that kind of brings us back full circle, Borja, right? How we started the show, that your superpower is all about that very, very high tolerance for pain, for suffering, be able to move through it because it doesn't matter what scale you're on, there's always going to be a host of issues that go with just entrepreneurship and business ownership in general, right? And life, even at a more macro level. It is what it is, as they say. There's going to be stuff. So as we're coming here near to the end of our show, what is that bit of advice that you'd like to share with our listening audience?
Uh, who are we thinking about here? Because I have advice for, it depends. I mean, there's a lot of advice. Maybe who would I be giving advice to is the counter I would ask. Is it someone right out of college who's looking to get into digital marketing? Is it a business that wants to launch their first ad? Maybe some context would allow me to give you the better answer.
I appreciate your professionalism to get it narrowed down. So, most of our listening audience are folks who are a bit older, they're seasoned, they're certainly at least a millennial to older millennial, a lot of X, and folks that have had some professional work experience, but now they've tapped into entrepreneurship and that side of it. And so they've got that level of experience and I guess a demographic. And most of our businesses are on that smaller side, sub $1 million in revenue. So if that helps tailor your advice to our folks.
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice I would give is um, when you're going through difficult times, what has helped me also kind of persevere is really remembering why I did this to begin with, right? I was interested in building a business and bringing on clients and doing a really good job for those clients. And I was interested in building a team and attracting employees and retaining them and providing a work opportunity for them and having them leave 10x better than they came in. Um, and I think if I remember that, and then I draw from a lot of the experiences we've had over the 8 years that we've had a business where a client has come to us and said, thank you, you guys have achieved record results for us year over year, we couldn't have done it without you. Or an employee who just resigned, and this is what just happened this week. We had an employee resign, and this employee had been with us for 3 years and 2 months. I was happy for them. 3 years and 2 months in today's economy and today's environment is actually a great retention, something I'm very proud of. And if every employee who joined my company said they'd stay with me for 3 years and 2 months, I'd say I'll sign wherever. And that employee left, but they're going and making a pivot and doing something a bit different. And I was very happy for them. And the reason I was happy for them is because their stock value increased. They were way more valuable in the market than they were before they joined us, and they learned a lot, and they contributed a lot, and they built some great relationships. So when I think about the client side and the employee side, the people that we serve, I think it motivates me and inspires me to keep at this, right? Because it's not easy, but that's normal. It's not supposed to be easy. So if you're a business owner listening, we all have very similar challenges, maybe different scale depending on the size of our business. But I think the point is try to remember the reason you did this, and that sometimes will keep you sort of on track and focused on moving forward.
Oh, excellent. All right. So, Borja, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you or find you online?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I occasionally post, I write about different things that are interesting to me. So my handle would be at Borja Cuan. That's Borjac for California, UAN for Nancy. And then 415 Digital, FOUR15digital.com. There we have a bunch of information on what services we provide, some great customer success stories, learn more about our culture. And then if you're interested in us doing an audit for you, looking at sort of your programs, your digital marketing programs, and giving you some very interesting feedback, doing kind of a comprehensive audit, there's a form on there where you can ask us to reach out to you. So if you fill out the contact us form, we'll be in touch with you.
Oh, excellent. And of course, we'll put all those notes in the show. So, Borja, last question. It is our signature question of this podcast. If we got to peek into your closet and we were looking at your footwear, might be sneakers, boots, this, that, whatever it is, what is that footwear that represents who you are as the person? And why are you so drawn to that particular footwear?
I'd say it's a pair of Italian-made leather white sneakers. Um, I'm attached to it because I really appreciate footwear made in Europe, specifically Italy or Spain. They make quality shoes, and the leather quality is incredible. Grained leather, very comfortable, very white. And it's sort of a combination of comfort, but also style. I think it's a good balance of the two, and it suits well for my sort of typical work attire, right? I'm a more of a casual, nice pair of jeans, nice pair of shoes, polo shirt, long sleeve shirt, t-shirt type of person. Maybe a nice watch on my wrist, and we're good to go. So yeah, those are the my go-to sneakers.
I love asking that question because we always get like the vibe of who the person is behind the brand, behind the company, behind the podcast voice, right? So, with that, folks, this is a wrap. Thank you so much, Borja Cuan, co founder of 415 Digital. We really appreciate you being on the show today and sharing your insights and expertise.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?
Tired of your car insurance rate going up, even with a clean driving record? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.